Find Your Own Voice, Lead from Within. With me today, Dr. Biget Tan. Dr. Biget, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Numsa, and good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, depending on where you are as you listen to this. I have a question for you. What is freedom means to you? What is true freedom means to you? And that answer is different from all for many people, for each and every one of us. You might have a different answer, no right or wrong. But just think about it. If I say what is true freedom? True freedom, and that is not just the freedom to be able to do something, but what if a full spectrum freedom? If you have a full spectrum freedom, what does it look like? And why is that important? Because a lot, in general, for practically all of us, when we don't have freedom, one of the things is we don't have peace of mind. Our natures, you and I, are to be able to grow and to create and to do things we would love. And so if we feel constricted, we don't have peace of mind. None of dimensions it will be challenging for us to be able to live our life purpose. And so listen up to for today on what is it really full spectrum freedom might be. Share your thought and see how you might be able to bring forth your full spectrum freedom in your life. And this is Dr. Burjit Tan. I am a grief transformation specialist where I help you fix whatever it is that's adversity and heartbreak that you have and create something beautiful and honoring from it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Biget. So basically, our topic today is how to experience true freedom, to live a life with purpose. And Dr. Biget, you just really explained the topic, and that basically freedom, everyone can define it different. There is no right answer, there is no wrong answer. It's just personal, basically, what everyone thinks freedom is to them. And for me, basically, I'm just gonna say to our audience, you basically, everyone should be basically proud of themselves, because it takes courage to be the person that you are today. Some people have children, some people are married, some people have decided to stay single. It actually takes courage to actually live the life that you want. And if you are someone out there who is not living the life that you want, that means freedom, you don't have freedom in your life. So you can create that freedom. We will be talking about it and cover some things uh, regarding freedom and what it means to us, basically having freedom. And Dr. Bickett, I know you chose this topic. Would you like to explain to our audience basically what inspired you to choose this topic, and what does freedom means to you as well?
Thank you, Numsa. Surely. So, what does freedom mean, and what inspired me to choose the topic of freedom? And I would say two reasons, and it has the reasons of choosing the topic. It has something to do with what freedoms means to me. And freedom, a lot of time for many people, we think about freedom is being able to do this or to do that. But for me personally, and you might think very differently, and would love your thought, but for me personally, freedom is a lot more than that. It's a full spectrum. Even when you are saying, well, freedom is to be able to say here in the United States, freedom is to be able to freedom of speech. Well, we're very much into freedom of speech and doing this and doing that. Even when it is that, what is the feeling being a grief coach? We are attuned with our feelings. So when you're able to be doing this and doing that, what is the feeling that you get from that? The doing is on the outside, but the feeling is from the inside. What is that feeling that you have from there? And so that is, to me, is where the core and the root of freedom is, to be able to have this feeling. And typically it's the feeling of peace of mind that when you are able to do what you want to do, to say what you want to say, you'll be able to have peace of mind. You'll be able to have ease. You don't feel like constricted. You don't feel like somebody holding you back, and or a situation holding you back. It might not be a person, but it might be a situation being held back, and then you don't feel free. You don't feel being able to express yourself to the fullest. Troward, which is a very known scholar from a little time back in the UK, says there is a spring of life inside of us that continue to flow and want to continue to express. And so when you kind of like, if you ever have like a spring and then you kind of like to contain it, and then what happened is, first it will fill it up, but then it start to overflow, and it's the water that you're holding back. It got stale, right? And so that is one thing of freedom for me, is to be able to fully express, and then at the same time to actually be able to have what it is that you would need. I mean, the freedom is to be able to have the freedom of time, the freedom of money, the freedom of the expressions. If you are able to fully express everything that you want, but you never have you if you don't have the money, for instance, you're worrying all the time about how I'm going to pay bills and all these things, then that part could be painful as well, and not a peace of mind. And then the other part is also, you might have the money, if you might have known about people like these Numsa, people who has all the money, and they definitely has a thought, and they have the freedom to do whatever they want to do or say what they want to say, but they never have the time. They're running between 15 different things. They don't even have time for themselves or their family. Well, that's not quite freedom as well to me. So for me, to personally, it's freedom is a full spectrum things, and a lot of time I notice that people are seemingly to focus only on one thing or the other, or people many times don't realize that, well, you know what, that actually there is a missing piece in my life. And then many times, being a grief coach in particular, they come to me, or they wonder why I'm waking up in the middle of the night not feeling quite so good, and why there is a restlessness inside of me, that regardless of all these things that I have in material world, I'm still not happy. Or why is it I am able to do to say and all these things, but it just feel almost there's something in me that still want to jump out, and so, or unfulfilled. And so that's, I think, one of the reasons I choose that. And what freedom for me, what about for you? What is freedom for you, Numsa? You are muted.
For me, basically, freedom, it means discovering who I am as a person, and basically getting rid of the things that I don't want to be, and working on myself. That gives me freedom, and having a good relationship with God. Because if I have a good relationship with God, that means that everything else will be added into my life. And knowing who I am and knowing where I need to go, even if the path is unclear. For me, that is freedom, because we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. We don't know. So all I have to do is being able to take the path that I want to take, like Dr. Biggett was talking about. Some people think freedom is the outer world, but if freedom basically is when you are able to, the feeling. You spoke about the feeling. The feeling is whatever you experience in your life. The freedom is the react, how you react inside of you, that gives you freedom. There are some people that will achieve big achievement, but inside within it, they will still not have that freedom to celebrate themselves, to actually acknowledge the hard work that they have done. For me, freedom is just being able to celebrate my life, being able to look at my life and be grateful. You promote gratitude and gratefulness, Dr. Biggett. So for me, basically, that is freedom, basically to for me to have this amazing relationship with God is holding my hand, knowing that God is holding my hand, knowing that whatever the storms that I face, I'm not alone. So to me, that is freedom. But some people, freedom, it might be different. And I think also freedom is a choice. So we choose to give ourselves freedom, like what you are saying, that basically what's on the inside of us is basically it is greater than what's on the outside. So if you feel great within yourself, then that means everything else you do in life is gonna give you freedom. You basically, some people, money, freedom, it means they're having lots of money. That is freedom for them. But for me, it's the little things that I do in life that I'm able to celebrate myself. I'm able to get excited. And when I pray, I'm able to actually get excited about the things that I have achieved, or the things that I'm just like doing for other people as well, like helping somebody out and being able to have that 1 hour to help someone. To me, that is freedom in my life. It's not about what I have. For me, freedom is not what I have, because I know that if I die, everybody else will be gathering, counting how much money I have in my bank account, cars, who's gonna get the car, who's gonna this. But freedom is me being happy within inside of me, and just loving my friends and my family, and that is freedom with God, of course. So to me, that's what I call it, freedom, and being able to be here at Ngozi Talk Shows with Dr. Biget. We're just empowering for 1 hour and then go, and somebody else comes in and listen to our message and they get empowered. And to me, that is freedom. That is a beautiful freedom that I can describe for me, but somebody, and knowing my purpose as well. Knowing my purpose basically of why I'm here on earth, to me, is freedom. Some people, I have to give myself, the reason why I'm saying is freedom is because some people are confused of who they think they should be, and they are still finding out that, and that is that can take away your freedom. So I have figured out who Nomsa is, and to me, that is another freedom as well. So over to you, Dr. Biget. If anyone that is watching now and they're like, okay, Dr. Biget, I hear you. You want me to work on my inside, my inner world, and you want me to celebrate me. You want me to love myself, to have this freedom. But I don't know how. Where do I begin? What advice would you give as somebody who is a grieving coach? Because when somebody don't know where they are going or what they should do, that means that there is something inside that is holding them.
Thank you, Numsa. Yes. So if somebody say, "Well, I don't know where to go," and they truly don't know. In other words, that they say, "Well, a lot of people say, well, upon speaking, usually we discover what it is. But if you truly don't know, and you have this yearning of something different, something still just feel not quite right with you, there are two things that I would even start with. And the first is to say kudos to yourself, that you at acknowledging it, and that's one thing you want to do, that you want to acknowledge it and to allow it. Sometimes people, out of practicality, out of the way society tell us, is another reason that when something like that happen, they're like, you know what, something just feel unsettled, and I don't know what I really want, I don't know where to go, what to do. Many people, for some reason, turn back into themselves and think that there's something wrong about them. And there's nothing wrong about you. It's actually life inside of you calling you to try to express itself. And so, in that scenario, first of all, is to give yourself a great big two thumbs up kudos for listening to that. And then if you just know that something's still uneasy in you, something restless, something calling you, and perhaps it is something that to be resolved, and perhaps it is something to be expanded. But then if you just know that that is the most important thing for me to me, is to acknowledge that and to allow it, to acknowledge and to allow it. And then the next thing is to discover. And if you don't know, that's where support is coming. Where you, if there are times people come to me and they say, you know what, I just have this uneasiness. I feel there's something more. There is something just not quite right. Or being a grief coach, there's something that just still waking me up in the middle of the night, and I don't know what it is. And just over time, it just grow more. I have an uneasiness. Well, that's when you allow support and discover what is it that either calling you to perhaps be resolved, or perhaps something else. It actually might not be necessarily something that's to be resolved, but it could be something to be expressed, to be expanded. That's something that might happen. Sometimes some people say, as we work together, yeah, you know what, actually I've always wanted to do this. I always want to paint, to do painting. But I think it's such an impractical things in life. And we all need to make money and all these things. So of course we're not gonna do painting. We're gonna be toughen up and go and get a corporate job instead. Nothing against corporate. I work with corporate. So, but it's like, and then you like over time, 10 years later, 20 years later, you're like, oh my god, where am I and where am I going, and I don't even know anymore. And this is just something that just start to wake me up at night, and so forth. Or some people might be the complete opposite. Everything's beautiful, but something happened that a long while back that's still waking you up at night, or still come back during the day and sort of like follow you. It's almost like a ghost that says boo and then retrieve back. And so those other kind of things. Then I would say, if there is something like that and you have no idea what it is, but something calling you and pushing you, then to allow support, so you discover what it is and being able to address it sooner than later.
So much. Thank you so much, Dr. Biget. I actually agree with you that basically we need to evaluate our lives if every now and then, and if we feel that we are not happy with where our life is, and basically and do something about it. And um, I know that some people might watch and say, but I've been hurt. How do this person entered my life, they hurt me, or that person hurt me, and they took my freedom away. No one can take your freedom away. People can enter your life and do whatever they want to do, but you have a choice to respond to your life, how you respond to your life. There are some people who have been sexually abused, but they are out there, freedom, they are helping others who have gone through similar problems, similar situations, and they are actually impacting, and their voices, they are speaking for other people. And there are some people who have been in marriages that are not good. They are out there empowering people, they have a voice and helping others to actually recognize the signs of abuse, the signs of physically, emotionally abuse in a relationship. They are basically empowering, giving people advices, and so you can have your own freedom if you want to. You can, like what Dr. Bickett was saying, that uh, basically is we all have choices in life how we want to live our lives, and you don't have to say, listen, Dr. Bickett or Nomsa, I really don't have a choice. This is what happened. I am who I am because of who hurt me back then. So you don't have to do that. I myself have been hurt before. Relationships, rejection. I've been told that I'm not enough. But I say to people, if I'm not enough for you, I am good enough for my God, because He is my creator, and He knows that He knows that everyone that is on earth is excellent, is amazing, is unique, and we are all different. So I can't say to myself that I'm not enough, because I am enough. And I allow myself to celebrate me. I allow myself to celebrate my friends, have that freedom in my life. I allow myself to basically love from the distance those who are hurting me, those who come into my life and their lives is messed up. I'm there to help them. But if somebody is not ready to basically to give themselves that freedom, you can't hold on to that relationship. They need to learn. I've learned it the hard way myself, that there were people that were in my life trying to help me, but I couldn't get it myself. At first, I couldn't get it. What does freedom mean? But then when you get it, the freedom is beautiful. Having that freedom of being able to acknowledge your path, being able to walk into your own path, and being able to make your own mistakes and celebrate those mistakes and learn from them. It is beautiful. So if you're watching me and Dr. Biget today and you feel that your freedom was stripped away from you, some people freedom it gets stripped away when you are a child. Some people, they are adopted. Some people, they've been fostered. But the people that are meant to help them become who they want to become, the authorities, they betray them. So if you are still breathing and you have got a life, you can drink water, that means that you can still give yourself that freedom that you want. You can still work on your problems. You can still, even us, we are sitting here. I've had a messed up life. I basically been in relationships where I had no knowledge of how relationships should run, where I should have my voice, I go quiet, where I've meant to love, I scream. So I've learned so many things to give myself freedom, and you can give yourself that freedom to become who you want to become, to walk your own path, and to freedom basically, like what Dr. Bigot said, we can define it different, but even though we define it different, the voice is still the same. It's basically allowing your happiness within, allowing your happiness to basically to experience that joy within you. And for me, basically, I know I basically deprived myself of my freedom. I didn't know that actually God, I don't know whatever people, anyone who is watching, I don't know whatever your beliefs that might be, but I didn't know that actually, if I was to cry out to God, I could have this beautiful freedom in my life. Until I've learned that, I decided, you know what, my life is miserable. Those were my own voice. I remember saying, I'm not happy. My life is miserable. I basically, I was going to church. The pastor will pray for me, and I expected him to touch my head and pray for me. And when he prays for me, I'll be like, hallelujah. Basically, I go home back to normal. Didn't know how to pray, didn't have the knowledge to run relationships. I didn't know how to go for the things that I want. But I had to work on my messed up life so I can be who I want to become. And I became that. So, Dr. Bigot, if someone is watching right now and they basically have their messed up life and they want to be free, what advice would you give them? Somebody is at the door.
So thank you. So term of the what advice I would give if somebody says they have this messed up life. And first of all, actually, I love what you said earlier, Numsa, in that you know that some people who has says traumatic experience during their child, and they are out there to help other people, and they are thriving, and with even with sexual trauma, they are in thriving relationship, they are helping other people. And then there are some who say, oh, I have been traumatized and I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't do that. And so a couple things that I would say is, the first is to remember that the Viktor Frankl, Viktor Frankl in his book Man's Search for Meaning that says in general that he's very well known about his freedom, and that is the freedom of thought. And this is a quote from him that, and this was when he was in the concentration camp, the German concentration camp, as dire as it could be. And in the book, it shares that he was there, and everything he's taken away from home. They discover his manuscript. They burned them down. They took everything. I mean, even in the concentration camp, there is a they saw that he has a wedding ring, and they took it out, and then he saw that they took his wife away to basically to be killed. And at that moment, imagine that. Imagine if that's you experiencing, even if we experience just one of that situation. This is him, and at that moment, he says, it came to him that the true freedom is inside of all of us. He says everything can be taken from a man or a woman, but one thing, the last human freedom, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstance, to choose one's own way, and really to choose one's own thought, which is like what you said earlier, Numsa. And yes, we could have all sort of things happening in our life, but what are we going to make out of it? The Grief Recovery Institute, one of the institute who I become trained to become a grief coach, is have this term 1% responsibility. 1% responsibility can have all sort of thing happen in your life, but at the end of the day, there is 1% responsibility that is yours, that you need to take the 1% responsibility. And what are you going to make out of that? Are you going to stay in heartbreak forever? Are you going to stay in the pain and rehearse and nurse the pain and grow it? Or are you going to say, enough, no more pain? Yes, my heart's broken, but let me put it back together as much as we could. And yes, it might not be healed in a perfect manner, but let me create what you might have heard the Japanese art wabi sabi, where the art wabi sabi, they actually take a vessel, so a bowl or a vase or a jar, and they break it and then they put it back together. But when they put it together, it doesn't heal. It doesn't, because it's been broken. It doesn't fit perfectly. There is always like a little crack line here and there. But then they put a source of light in it, and then you can see the beauty. When you see the shadow, the beautiful shadow. You have my book, Numsak, Seeking Peace. This is the cover of Seeking Peace here. And you see this crack heart. This is an implications of that wabi sabi. Most people are like, what's that all about? This is your heart being broken and being put back together. Is it come back perfectly and just like before? No. But from that crack, you can allow light that bring more of your light out, as well as from that crack, you can allow light and pouring of love. This is the light is like a glowing, defined light that bring also a lot of good to others. And so, if we have been hurt in the past, and you are still hurting, first of all, my heart with you. It is sometimes a lot easier to say yes, you can move forward, but at the same time, if you are still in pain, to me it is to allow support, to back to allowing support, to allowing help. And if you have help in the past, and I'm working with one client now who has been through, I think, 7 different practitioners and coach, and thankfully she doesn't give up because none of them help her, and she actually in a state of more confusions and more pain. And to allow, if you have help and it doesn't work, continue to search for help, continue to have somebody and talk with people who approach things differently perhaps than what you already have, and to continue to allow help. If you have been hurt before, there are multiple modalities on different on helping. I myself are trained through 2 different modalities and employ 3 different modalities. And so, one of them being like dancing. You've heard about dance away sadness before, Numsa, where I use freestyle dancing and music to release the part of grief that words cannot touch. So there are multiple different way in being able to, if you have been traumatized, if you have something that happened, just know that there is a 1% responsibility, and that one is yours. And then to, if you are still in the trauma from the past, and then to allow support, allow helps, because nobody can build a house, even never mind a skyscraper, by themselves typically. And so that would be my, what I would say. If you have been traumatized in the past and still having a tough time moving forward.
So much. Thank you so much, Dr. Beckett. I like it when you put an example of your book, Seeking Peace, because, when you find peace within yourself, you have that freedom. And you talk about people, if you've been traumatized, and the person that has been with you is going through 7 therapists. I went through 4 therapists, and I couldn't find what I was looking for. It's not that they were not good, they were not getting through to me, and I wasn't ready to actually um, be honest within myself, because when you are seeking peace, you have to be truthful. You have to be the person that is basically ready to hear the things that you don't want to hear, because sometimes when we need seeking help, we say we're seeking help, but we want people to tell us things that we want to hear. But I wasn't ready for me basically to hear or to find that breakthrough within myself. There were things that I had to let it go. There were things that I had to accept in my life. There were things that I basically, the most thing that I needed to do is to understand who is Nomsa, my values, my beliefs, and who do I stand for. And I couldn't understand it. I just saw myself as a that dead is little girl, and that's where I got stuck. Basically, you tell me something, I'm like, that's not how my father treats me. And you do something to me, I'm like, that's not how my parents or my stepfather does things. We don't do things like that in my house. And but I forgot that I was no longer a little girl anymore. I was an adult. I needed to create my own life. I needed to find that Nomsa within that is unique, that is individual, because my parents basically what they have done was to raise me give me this love that I needed as a child. And when I basically became an adult, I needed to share that love that I experienced from my parents. But I got messed up. My mind got messed up. Like I was like, I wanted to live that life where when I was with my parents. Uh, but it didn't work. With the relationship, it doesn't work. When you are looking for a man, you want to find your father, it doesn't work. Or if you want to find, mostly girls, we're related to our fathers. But for me, I'm a mother's girl as well. I love my mom very much. Basically, when I go home, even now that I'm 43 years old, I still have cuddles with my mom because I love her so much. She's my mom. She gave birth to me, but I didn't know how to actually separate that to experience the experience. So I went to 4 different psychologists, and they both these poor therapists, they'll speak to me. I think I got it, and then when I get home, I'm back to square one again. Until actually I was like, I think let me do things different. I had to seek God, seeking peace. For me, like in your book, Dr. Bigot, I had to seek God and seeking peace within myself as well. I had to understand that if I needed to be the person that I wanted to be, I needed not to blame anyone that has hurt me in the past, not to blame my relationships, not to blame myself. I just needed, I made a choice basically one day that actually I need to have a proper relationship with God. And if I'm going to have a proper relationship with God, I'm going to have to be honest with myself. There were characters within me that didn't represent me. When I'm saying characters, it means I go with my friends out, I start behaving with my friend like my friends behave. I meet somebody, they behave the way they behave. I start behaving like that, adapting other people's character. I was messed up. I didn't know, but I people seems to think I was happy, but within I wasn't free. And anyone who can relate to me, what does it mean when you are not free? It's not a joke. When somebody is not free, it means you are miserable. It means when a man comes from work, if you are in a relationship, they say, "Hi, honey," you are like, you didn't, you left your socks on the floor. So it means basically when you are hungry, you get stroppy with somebody else. But now I have my freedom. I can harmonize the song in my heart that I want. I can be me, and it has made a big difference. I see that little girl within me, my child self. I see that person within me, and I acknowledge that person. I accept them, but I still have to actually basically say now I'm creating the path that I want to create. I still have to acknowledge that little child that basically didn't have fear, because when you are young, you don't have fear. You just go for the things that you want. You're not ashamed of anything. And you do whatever you want to do. Like when I was in Africa, I would go barefoot if I wanted to. But now, when I'm old, it's like I don't want I don't want my men to see me without makeup. I don't want my men to see me without. I don't do those kind of things no more. I want to walk barefoot, I walk barefoot. If I want to walk naked in the house, go get some water, I walk naked because I need to feel my body. If I don't accept my body for who I am and how God created me, because God gave me a gift. A gift, He gave me a beautiful face. He gave me beautiful hands. He gave me everything beautiful. So if I don't acknowledge that, that means that I'm living in pain. Like Dr. Pickett was saying, it's painful. So I have decided basically in 2010 that I am going to release myself, free myself from fear. I'm going to I'm going to be who I think I should be, not what people think I should be. Because within our society, when you walk to church, there are people that go to church, they dress different, and when they leave church, they say amen, and they leave church and they are out and they dress different because they don't want to be judged. For me, I just wear whatever I feel. I look at God's kingdom. He says, follow me for who you are as a person. Come with your burden. So for me, it means I'm gonna go to my pastor. If I'm wearing this, like I'm wearing clothes, I don't have to worry about what people think or what people are going to say. Why is she wearing those shoes? Why is she wearing that dress? If it's that what makes me happy, I am going to do it because that makes me happy. That gives me freedom. If I want to give somebody a hug and they want to give me a hug back, I give them a hug. If I want to tell somebody how much they mean to me, I will do that for that to acknowledge who they are, that person, because everyone in my life it is special. But before, if somebody tells me that Nomsa, you're beautiful, Nomsa, this, or thank you, I'll be feeling I'm very uncomfortable. But now I don't, because I just feel that I just have to go with the flow. And the flow means I have to not to be ashamed of my mistakes, learn from my mistakes, and be the person that I want to be. And Dr. Biget, if anyone is watching right now and they say, I am struggling to find out who I really am, how do I find out who I am and my purpose? How do I do that? What advice would you give somebody who is struggling to find their purpose, somebody who is struggling to find their identity? Because I was messed up. I didn't know how to. I grew up with love. My grandparents loved me so much. My fathers loved me so much. My mothers loved me so much, but I was still messed up with my identity. So if somebody is watching, what advice could you give them right now?
Thank you, Numsa. So there are two things actually with that. I love what you say. First of all, the other part of freedom, which is what you're saying, is freedom to be accepted. Freedom to be accepted by other people. But also, as we know, everything starts from inside. And so, as you shared just now, freedom to accept yourself and to celebrate yourself, to accept yourself and all the good and all the bad, to be comfortable. What freedom is to be able to be comfortable in your own skin, so to say. That's to me is like the number one things, right? I mean, you can have all these things and all so forth, but if you look in the mirror every day and just like, ah, God, why, that is, nonsense, then that doesn't go very far in terms of peace of mind and feeling that you are free. Even if you have the best everything else is, and even if everybody else, we in a different group that I have I am part of, we was talking about physical stereotype. If you buy into, for instance, what every other magazine here, at least in the Western world, says, and all this thing, and every time you look in the mirror, you're like, oh God, oh dear, that, oh dear, there's no freedom. So freedom, or you might be, and this was something that was quite familiar to me in the back in the past actually, because there were time where everybody said, oh, this is great, you're doing great this way, you're looking great, and at the same time, deep inside, I did not accept myself. And that's actually, to me, takes to the second part of the answer. If you just some things that like, I don't know, I can't move forward and so forth. You want to make sure that you don't have something holding you back. What hold you back? If you are wanting to feel, you feeling like your questions, you feel that you want to move forward, and you can't move forward, and you just something's, then ask yourself, what is holding you back? What's really is holding you back? And when there is something holding you back, it's just kind of like, if some it's literally, it will be like, if you have a 100 pound or 50 kilo chain, ball chains to you, to your ankle, you can't move forward, and it's not a comfortable feelings. And now that could be something that's very apparent from outside situations, but knowing that everything is an inside out job to a degree. We talk about the 1% responsibility. We talk about our that freedom's a choice, as Dr. Viktor Frankl says it. Then perhaps it is something in you, and sometimes for some of us, it might not even be something you are aware of, and it's normal, because people, as part of our survival things, we have the skill to kind of push things away, to kind of bury things away to a degree, so it will not keep being haunted. But if you like, this is something I feel cold and something still holding me back, or perhaps you might even try doing things, and you just having this, you take two step forward, one step back, you keep self-sabotaging yourself, you feel that you're hitting this glass ceiling, then perhaps some things that's sneaking in, that you are not recognizing, that is holding you back. And in that scenario, you want to allow yourself some support. I actually have an event tomorrow. It's 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, so I believe it's UK time. It's 8:30. What time is it there right now? 1:30 something. 1:50 something, right?
152.
Yeah. So it is UK time. It's 8:30 in the evening on Friday, and in the US it is Pacific time at 12:30. Or in other words, it's 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, New York time. But tomorrow I actually doing an event, a free discussions. It's actually you're welcome to participate and discuss. It's not just me talking. To discover your what I call unrecognized hidden grief. There are many people don't realize there are actually more than 40 different causes of grief, and a lot of time having have one of these in your life, and if you don't recognize it, it's kind of like being chained to 100 pound or a 50 kilo ball, and not even able to figure out what's holding you back, why you can't move forward, why you seems to take two step forward and one step back. It's kind of like, if you ever seen those spring numsa that kind of like stretch a little bit, but then they kind of snap back and stretch and snap back. That is when you have an unrecognized hidden grief. Could be from any of the one of the 40 different causes, or more than 40 different causes of grief. It will allow you to move forward a little bit, to feel better this way, but then it snap back and it's hold you back. Why? Because grief hold your heart back. Grief clouded your heart. It's, imagine if the heart is like a structure, grief is like, it's simply just put a veil or a coverage on it that doesn't allow it to go anywhere, doesn't allow it to expand. And so that's the other part, is if to allow support, to allow yourself to say, okay, what is it holding me back? If you seems to be having a trauma, or not even have a trauma, and not being able to just move forward, is two, I would say, is two things to answer your questions. Allow to be able to accept yourself. That's also an important thing of freedom, and then to be able to go there. And if you're not able to do it yourself, because there are things that happen in our life, there are times in, as you said, Numsa, in your life, and there were times in my life where self-acceptance and being able to love ourselves and embrace ourselves is not part of our life, and we didn't feel good. And as you said, it is kind of funny in a way. Your husband come, or your significant other come home and said, how are you? You're like, huh? instead of saying, yeah, I love seeing you back home. And so that also to recognize when you're not feeling great, it's the impact is not just only on you, but it is on everyone else's. And so just give yourself the gift of allowing, and then allowing yourself to recognize, and allowing yourself to support, and being able, and if you'd like to, I posted the link of the event the other day. Just please come join me and discover how you'll be able to allow more and bring more into your life and have the true freedom that we, each and every one of us, that you deserve as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Bickett. Don't forget to send me the link for your event. Would definitely come and check you out, check the event out, and make sure that I don't have any hidden grief in my life, because it's very important to actually work on yourself, and it's very important to actually um, keep seeking peace, and have that freedom is very, very important. And also for me, the other things that helps me a lot is when I'm stuck, when I don't know, uh, basically, if I want to find out more about myself, it's just praying to God and asking Him to reveal any hidden secret about my life, who I could be. And because sometimes it's hard to do things on your own, but if you use your beliefs, because for me, God is bigger than me. He can show me the things that I didn't know that I written in my book of life. He can show me the crazy. And you know what? I just being free is one of the things that I love, being free, and I love living my life. And before, I used to worry about what people think, and things like that. But now I know that we are human beings, and human beings are crazy. If you can ask me, when I'm saying human beings are crazy, no one agrees with anybody. So if you are somebody who wants people to affirm who you are, affirm who you could be, or you want basically people to love you, and you're scared of doing things because you don't want to upset anyone, guess what? In your destiny is only you alone. And even in the Bible, it says that we have to basically become who we want to become. Like Dr. Bickett says, seeking peace. In the Bible says, seek, you will find. Seek me, you will find. When you seek, the doors of opportunities will be open to you. And it doesn't say go when you have problems, go under the pillow, hide and cry. It doesn't say that. We can cry, we are allowed to cry, but for me, I don't stay too long. I don't stay too long in that crying, and my family know that when I do have problems, I always let them know. And there is this thing in my culture that you shouldn't tell people your problems, you should keep your problems uh, to yourself and stuff. I ain't doing that. I used to do that, but that's not how my father raised me. That's not how my mother raised me. They raised me to raise my voice, to seek, if whenever I have problems, to seek help. So that's why we have friends. When you have a problem, confide with your friends, but don't stay too long in that feeling sorry club. And when you have problems, confide in your family. Don't stay too long in that club of, oh, I have problems, I have this. Me, I have problems in my life, but all I do is seek solution. I seek solution, and also I pray to God and ask Him to basically give me the divine blessings that will take me to where I need to go. Because on my own, I know that I can't do it. That strength that I have within me, it comes from God. I don't do it on my own. So if everyone is watching, if you want freedom, freedom that does not just come by sitting there waiting for things to happen. It happens, it comes when you are willing to do the work, when you are willing to acknowledge that you are unique, you are individual, and you can be who you want to be. That freedom happens, but it doesn't happen just because you sit there and you do what you want to do, and you feel sorry for yourself just because somebody entered your life that was messed up like I was before, and you let them walk all over your life, and you complain. No, it happens when you say, I'm not going to allow anything holds me back. Dr. Bigger, you were talking about acknowledge what's holding you back in life. So if you acknowledge what's holding you back in life and work on that, I went through four psychologists trying to figure out. I didn't want to be that mama's girl, that daddy's girl. I wanted to grow up and be me, have the knowledge of loving myself. And until I found God, that's when everything changed. So you can change your life. I don't know whether you believes in the universe, if you're watching, or you believe in God. If you believe in God, believing in God, it requires you to pray, it requires you to be truthful to yourself, it requires you to take action, it requires you to fast and activate that spirit man. It requires you to call upon him and ask for help, ask for healing, ask for so many things. Ask God to heal you, and be grateful that is in your life. It requires you to love yourself. So that's what freedom requires. If you are watching, if anyone is watching, any words of encouragement, Dr. Bickett, you would like to leave with our audience?
Numsa. Yeah, I would say to know that freedom is possible, even if you feel right now very constricted in many ways, and perhaps some of the ways you don't know what is holding you back. That it is possible to have freedom and to have true full spectrum freedom and full spectrum peace of mind. That it is possible, and if you don't know, just like if you don't know how to drive from here in here Los Angeles to New York, allow some support. If you allow some maps, some GPS, the same thing in here. Allow some support if it is something that you feel that something still holding you back. Perhaps you have something that you're not even sure what holding. Then join me tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, 8:30 p.m. UK time, Friday tomorrow. And together we discover what it is that might hold you back and then be able to set you free.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Biggett. And for me, basically, if you're watching, be true to yourself. Don't take life too seriously. Some people take life very, very serious. Go with the flow. The flow, it means I'm okay if the storms come in my way. I'm okay with it. I'm ready to fight them. I'm okay if the mountain is presented in front of me. I'm okay to climb it and see what's on the other side. And freedom, it means basically be the person that you want to be. Have courage to be the person who you think you should be, and find your purpose. And Dr. Biggett says, if you believe in yourself, anything is possible. That's is on her banner there behind her. So that is freedom. Fear will always be there, but acknowledge it and just keep going. And we are here at Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. If you are watching, please follow Dr. Biggett. She has an event tomorrow. 8:30 p.m. UK time, Dr. Biggett?
Yes.
UK time. And please, maybe Dr. Biggett, you might need to put the link on the video, so whoever is watching, they can just click the link for the event and come to your event. So if you're watching, go to an event and find out what it means to free yourself from grief. And God bless. Live with grace, everyone. YouTube family subscribers, please subscribe to our channel. We love you.